The goal of this video isn't making it about a religious debate or creating a religious debate or anything like that, but this video is kind of a continuation of my last one, which you can watch up here. I was doing some thinking after watching this video that I'm going to talk about, and it talked about reincarnation, I guess you could say. I'm going to link it down below, so make sure you watch that before you watch this. Why are you still here? Go watch the video and then come back. Okay, so I'm going to assume that you watched the video, but after watching that video, my mind was just blown. Like, the whole video is just a concept or, a made up story, but I mean, who knows? It can be real. We never really know. It's no secret that we can die at any time, and I've spoken a lot about this in previous videos, but this video that I linked and watched, it hit a different nerve with me. See, when you really think about it, no one can prove that we haven't been reincarnated. No one can prove that we haven't lived in the past before, and when we died, the slate got wiped clean. Because, when you're born, obviously you have a mom and a dad and people in your life, but, you as a person, like, as bad as it is to say, it's a blank slate. It's a new computer with a fresh operating system, which is basically your mind. That's how I, think of it. We then obviously grow up according to our surroundings. So if you live in a low income area, there's a decent chance that you'll be a low income earner. That's obviously not the case 100% of the time, because people obviously make it out from time to time, and remarkable people come into the world from time to time. So nothing is really guaranteed regardless of where you came from. Like, you can have all the money and connections in the world, and you can throw it all away drinking and doing drugs for, all your life. That's why I always say that at the end of your life, it won't matter how much money you had, who your dad was, what car you drove, how big your house was, how many bedrooms you had. We're all gonna die one day. We all have a place in the dirt. But what happens after we die? Like, many religions believe in reincarnation either as an animal or you go to heaven or, something of the sort. I'm not a religious person. I'm not living for the afterlife. I'm living for, right now. I mean, when you really think about it, we could be on our second or third body or even our 700th body. Like, we could have been someone living in 400 BC, or we could have been one of the 300 Spartans that were fighting in the movie 300, which is an excellent movie. I feel like it's super underrated. Not a lot of people know about it. It did come out in 2006, so, it could be part of the reason. Like, we really don't know, because let's say the slate gets wiped clean. How would you know that you existed before? I mean, who's to say that we didn't interact with ourselves in a past life? Oh, but then, I guess you can't say that, because then you'd be in two places at once. Obviously, that's not possible as far as we know. So, but imagine if we interacted with our parents somehow. We held the door open for our mom. We sat beside our dad on a train or something, and, we literally never know. And then, that kind of opens up the whole butterfly effect thing. You saying something to your dad could have pissed him off, ruined his day. Then he goes home and to sleep just pissed off, and then you don't get created that night. Like, this is just super big brain, but just like the video said, what if we're us and everyone else at the same time? Like, we all know that person that's rude to waiters and they think they're better than everybody else and stuff like that. But what if everyone you were rude to is also you? Like, I know it's probably making no sense right now, but I mean, this is just what goes on in my brain if you were interested. But what if we were the center of the universe, but the universe was ours? So there were 7 billion universes that all looked the same to everyone looking out into the universe, but at the same time, everyone was on or in their own. I really don't know how to explain it. So, I hope you can try to understand what I'm saying. Okay, let's take this table right here. For example, it looks the same to you and me, but they're technically two tables when you think about it, because one of them is from my perspective. Like, if I turn around and look at the table, but then one of them is from your perspective because you're also looking at the table. So what if there's two separate tables, but one's in my universe and one is in your universe? I don't know how or why my brain works like this sometimes. Like, it just doesn't make sense. But it's also crazy to me how much we know about space. But at the same time, when you really think about it, we don't know anything. It's like one drop of water in a huge ocean. But the fact that we know how long it takes Pluto to make a rotation around the sun, and the fact that it hasn't made a rotation around the sun since its discovery in 1930 is super mind-blowing to me. Because think about how far away Pluto is. It takes Pluto 248 years to go around the sun. But, the fact that we know that is pretty crazy. The fact that we know that, there were dinosaurs, or allegedly, whatever you believe in, that there were dinosaurs here 66 million years ago, and we know what they looked like. We allegedly know what they sound like. We know what they ate and how they lived without any record of that, being kept is pretty remarkable. It's funny because, with the rise of technology, like, we can keep things for basically an unlimited amount of years. We have hard drives and USB sticks and all these storage devices. So storing things for future generations isn't going to be hard, and it's going to be easier than ever for them to see how we lived because there's basically a record of everything. It's crazy how we know so much about the continents and how they were all one big supercontinent 250 million years ago, and then how they are today, and we can make a pretty good estimate about how they're going to look 250 million years from now, which is essentially a big supercontinent once again. Like, we know all these things about the ocean and how far it goes down, but at the same time we know basically nothing. I think I saw like this thing, and it said we've only discovered 5% of the oceans, like, in the whole world. Imagine how many unknown creatures and animals are down there. Like, we look at things like Wikipedia and the internet and technology and how much biodiversity knowledge and stuff we have, but we really don't know anything. Sure, we can know what to do when someone we know is dying, and we can do all these things like organ transplants, and we've invented things like prosthetic limbs and stuff like that. We know all these things about life and how to save lives, but the second someone crosses over that barrier into death, we have no idea what happens. We have no idea where they go, what they do, if they're still conscious, if they can hear us, literally nothing. Sure, some people allegedly come back from being declared dead 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 20 minutes, however many minutes you see on those videos, but I would take those videos with a grain of salt. I'm not saying that they're not true, because we obviously don't know and there isn't any way to verify what that person went through, so it could be true, but I'd be a little skeptical. I'll end with this. I read this quote and it said, what if when you die, someone takes off a headset and asked how it was? That was probably one of the most mind-blowing things I've read probably in the past year. So it's like, I think we know all these things, but at the same time, I feel like the more you know, it's like the less you know, if that makes any sense. I know this video probably made no sense, but hopefully you could kind of get a glimpse into my very complicated thought process, what goes on in my brain and stuff like that. Anyway, not sure what this video was, just like a lot of them, but I do hope that this video brought you some type of value, or you found it funny or entertaining or something like that. And as always, thanks for watching.